and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're basically going to go through connecting all the components needed to set up a simple off-grid system. So let's get back to school because classes are in session. Here we have a blank table or board that we're going to install first, the inverter, and you're going to kind of see how we get to put together each component as we place them on the board here and go through and connect them up. So I'm going to get started on going through the process of connecting all the basic components needed for a simple off-grid solar system. Okay, so we're going to put the screws in on the sides here to secure this inverter. So what you're looking at now is a 3000 watt 24 volt inverter, because we're doing a 24 volt system because what I have right now is this 24 volt 3000 watt inverter. So I'm going to secure it to the board. Let me get my other screws here. Get this last screw in. So now we have that secured to the board. Now we're going to get the screws for the MPPT charge controller. And you see that Mister brand. That's the one we're going to screw down to the board as well. So now we're going to secure this to the board. All right, that should do it. So now we are going to get the other components placed. So this is the MPPT charge controller, and it recognizes a 12 volt, 24 volt, 36 or 48 volt. So it'll work with this no problem. So let's move on to the next component. So here we're going to basically, you see a couple of components sitting on the table here. So we are going to connect all these together. So you're probably wondering what these are. So this is for the solar wires when they come in. That goes into that device over there. This is the breaker for the battery. Once you connect the battery, this is the breaker that's going to trip if the amps go over a certain capacity. These are going to be our bus bars. And these are DIN rails that we're going to fasten to the board that secures the breaker to the board so we can clamp them down. And this is the battery shunt that's going to measure the current, flow of current in and out of the battery, the amps, the watts being used, and of course this is our battery off and on switch or cut off switch. And we're going to put that right here. So I'm going to be moving around here to get the screws to bolt these down. So all right, let's continue bolting these down. So we're going to take the screw. So what we're doing right now is securing the shunt. So that's secured. You're probably wondering that's the screen to the shunt. So once we get it connected, you'll see that screen light up. So let's get the battery connected here. Battery shut off. I think all we need is just 2 screws. That should hold it in place. Let's verify. Oh, before we do that, we have to connect the wire, so it doesn't make sense to do that yet, so we'll do that one last. So now let's connect the bus bars. And these are where all the wires are going to be connected to. From the inverter, from the charge controller, and from the battery. Go ahead and get a little bit more secured. All right, so now that we have that secured, the bus bar secured, now let's get the DIN rail. Okay. All right, let's continue with getting the DIN rail connected. All right, let's get this one connected as well. Get that straight so it's not crooked. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to connect these. Here we got one connected. We connect the other one here. So now we'll get the wires and we'll start the process of wiring them up. Okay, we're going to continue here with our putting together the wires. So let me get myself situated here. All right, so we have our cables here. So this one is the positive that we're going to look at. Let's just get out the bolts first. This is the negative. Get the bolts off. The lock washer, let me just tighten this up a little bit more. Okay, so here we have the PV wires, negative, positive, goes to the charge controller, and we have this already wired. This is what's like a meter that measures the amperage, the watts, and the current coming in from the solar panels once we connect them. So let's go ahead and do the negative. We'll just tighten that, not too snug, but snug enough to where actually let's go there, because we have to connect that cable or from the shunt over to there, which is this guy, from here to here. So let's pull that off. Let's get this tightened down. So we have that connected. And now let's get the red cable. Let's secure that one. And I will bolt these down once I have them all connected and wired. Oh, so these are like, they lock the DIN rail, this breaker in place, so it doesn't go back and forth like that. We take our screwdriver and we tighten it down. Okay, this one's trying to fight. Okay, the not behaving itself. That's okay, we'll just loosen the screws. We make sure, try this again. There we go. Squeeze together, then tighten. The screws down. These are very handy because they kind of, when you have these custom build designs and you have to clamp these circuits or these breakers in place, it helps. Normally I'd put this in a box, this in some sort of plastic box, but I want it to be open so you can kind of see what it actually looks like. So, okay, and now we will work on our wires that go from the charge controller, which this would be the positive, so let's secure that. Secure the battery positive. Let's get the negative. All right. So now let's get that connected. You know, I may have to route around this because this is in the way a little bit, but let's go ahead and get the red connected. And then I can adjust that one. I may have to route this one for the sake of, because I pre-made these, you know, when you're measuring on the board and you're trying to make sure everything lines up. Doesn't always do that. So I will make a little bit of an adjustment here on the fly. I'll move this up a little bit. So make sure this gets connected first before we bolt it back down. Let's get the washer off. Okay, that looks like that works out. Let's make sure we can connect our negative to the terminal here. I'm so used to just working and not talking, so I gotta get used to entertaining as I'm doing videos. So what I'm doing now is I'm just securing back the negative connection. Now that I have this worked out, we'll bolt this back down. All right, that's secured. So we have our positive and negative from the charge controller to the bus bar, positive and negative from the from the inverter to the negative bus bar. Now we're going to do the battery. shelf. Get them both off because we have to do both ends. Okay, that'll work. Let's get this back on. I have to get the other battery cable on to go that way because it won't okay, so I have to get get my impact gun, take this terminal off the battery, okay, I gotta get a screwdriver, so let me do that. All right, we're gonna bolt down this battery shutoff. Right. Let's tighten up the bolt. All right. Let's get a nut to tighten the other ones. See, nope, one more up. Nope, not that either. Let's see, 14 millimeter. That does it. So let's get the right ratchet. Okay, now we can tighten these down. Okay. Forgot to tighten that one. So let's do that. All right, nice and snug. Those are a little bit smaller. Probably 14 or 15. 14 it is. Let's get our extender. I want to make sure they're nice and snug. And typically the manufacturer will give you the Newton meters or foot-pound torque to tighten those. I do it, this is a demonstration, just tight enough to where it's not rattling. Okay, now we have inverter connected to the bus bar, battery shunt connected to the bus bar, negative from the MPPT charge controller. We have our negative. Let's get that connected. Our leads from the MPPT charge controller connected. Leave those already connected. So now all we have left to do is connect our battery cables to the battery, and then we can power this up, and you can see the connections. You will see power. We can put some loads on this and test it. So let me get that done. Okay, so now you see we have the battery connected. We have the positive from the battery going, our breaker connected down to the battery. Same thing with the positive, the negative side. So the moment of truth. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Let's turn this on. Wow, there you have it. It's running right now. So now you can see the shunt is on, and you can see everything's powered up. So now let's turn on the inverter and put a load on it and see if it works. Now we're going to plug in an appliance and see what happens. So I took the liberty off camera to wire up a plug, put it into the inverter. So let's turn on the inverter. So as you can see, on the shunt, it's reading on the meter. You see it's drawing 0.24 amps, 7 watts, 6 watts. So you can see how much the inverter is actually drawing, probably the charge controller as well. So I'm going to plug in this to the plug here. So now you can see that we have showing 120 volts. So you can see with this camera, I can zoom in a little bit more. You can see, the it's reading. So we're down to 99%, 99 amp hours. So what I'm going to do now is plug in a little hot water kettle so we can see how many amps this draws once we plug it in. So let's do that. So let's gently set this here. See how much this thing draws. So as soon as we turn this on, you're going to see how many amps it's drawing here. There we go. Branching up 30, 50, 63 amps. Wow. And it's 1.6 kilowatt. So you can see on this guy, it's showing 12.56 amps. So this is showing you on the AC side, and this is showing you on the DC side. So you see the DC draws more because of the conversion that it has to do. And like I said, this is a 24 volt system. So it's 3,000 watts. So yeah, you hear it ramping up. 66. This is still holding still at 12.53 amps. And the temperature is up to 159, 160. It's climbing. So as you can see, still holding steady. You can hear the fans kick on. The shunt, the wires feel good. Not heating up at all. And this is almost coming to a boil. So it just dropped down. So we're back down to 0.3, 7.4, and see, it just boiled and it shut off. And that was 1.6 kilowatt this thing draws. So you could see it. We saw it here, and I bet you if I'd looked, I could see the wattage being drawn there, but that's probably how much this thing draws when it pulls, when you plug it in. So that's something to think about. Okay, next we're going to test something else. So let me go find something to plug in and test it. All right, I'm going to continue here. So what I want to show you is the meter, the electric, we have solar coming in. So you can see it's kind of flashing on the shunt meter there. So we have 150 watts, 52, 58, almost 6 amps coming in. And on the screen on the charge controller, it shows about 210 or 6 or 9 watts coming in. There's 300 watts of solar power outside the door. So I am charging back the batteries, and I want to show you something. I want to turn on this kettle and then measure the amperage coming from. So I will show you on this thing right here, amps. So you can see how much amps, and when I come on this clamp meter here, see how much it's drawing, 13 amps. So this is the AC side. You see how much amps that's drawing? You can see on this one right here, 12.54 amps, 58, 1.4 kilowatts. So the solar panel is trying to bring in some, and it's pulling the rest from the batteries. So as you can see, testing, and we're cooking with electricity. There's some steam there. So now that that's finished, you can kind of see on the meter there, charging back up there. So 6.4 amps, 218 watts of solar power coming in. I think at this point we've tested everything, how to put it together, wire up a AC outlet, test, boil in some hot water, looking at the measurements on the shunt meter, and then using my clamp here to test the AC output draw for the current, and then you can see it on the screen here. So I'd say that's a real world setup and experience of the basics on getting a basic solar system together. And I know there's probably going to be some comments, or hopefully, no one makes a video saying, oh, this guy's trying to say this can run everything. No, it can run up just to 3,000 watts. And this is a basic setup of an off-grid solar system. PVs come in here. That's the breaker. We turn it on. You can see it's charging through the MPPT charge controller. Puts it into the batteries that are a little bit off camera here, but right down here. And that's the inverter. And basic setup, and it works. So with that, I think SleemSolar is going to sign off. Please like, share, and subscribe. If this has helped you in any way, please give me a thumbs up. And until the next video, my friends, take care.